Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading Heir of Fire. So, Heir of Fire is the third book in the Throne of Glass series, and I have reading vlogs for the first two as well. If you want to check that out, I will link them. And I didn't love the first or the second book, but I absolutely loved the maybe like 60 pages, like the last 60 pages of the second book. Like that was absolutely insane. And just before I read this one, I read the Assassin's Blade, so like the prequel short story collection thing. And I also really enjoyed that. So I was definitely very excited to get into this one, especially because I've been hearing that it gets better from book three. So everything was just exciting me to get into this one. And I just want to say that there are definitely spoilers in this reading vlog, and let's just get into it. I am on page 189 of the book, and it is divided into three, technically four POVs, but two of them are like in the same area, in the same place. So I'm gonna divide it into like three sections. And starting off with Selena, because obviously she's, the main character, and she gets to that area where she was sent by the king to, do her job as, his champion, even though that is not what she's planning to do. She, like, her own plan is to find Maeve, who is the queen of the Fae, and she wants to ask her about the word keys that the king used to like gain his power and also gain like all of the land that he has. And she is like trying to find Maeve, but not being very successful until she is found by a Fae guy, and he takes her to Maeve because Maeve wanted to see her as well because she's like her aunt, I think. And so she wanted to see Selena because, and she treats Selena by her like real name, so Aelin. And like, am I supposed to start calling her Aelin? Because she still says that like Aelin is like, she's alive obviously, but she's dead because that girl died like 10 years ago, and she's now Selena. But like people where she is now, not people because they don't know who she is, but like the guy she's training with and like the guy who found her, his name is Rowan. I'm pretty sure he's a love interest, like the final one. He also calls her Aileen, so I'm like, am I supposed to call her Aileen? But anyway, Maeve tells her that she will give her the answer that she wants once Selena like practices her magic with Rowan. And so Maeve leaves to go to her like Fae kingdom or queendom, whatever. And Selena is training with Rowan, and before he teaches her like anything like how magically related, like how to use her magic, and her power is like, I don't know if she has other powers or if it's just like one power per Fae, but I know that she has like power of controlling fire, creating fire. But before she gets into training that, Rowan wants her to like learn how to shapeshift, and she is definitely struggling with that. And there is like one thing that she stupidly tries to do, and she has to like relive the most painful memories that she has. And that was like, now that I care about her, that was really sad. But the pretty much like one of the last things that we see with Selena is that she is training with Rowan, and he's like pissing her off, and she manages to shapeshift. and she also uses her fire magic, but she still like can't control them. And that is pretty much like where we're at with Selena. And then another POV, and this is the one I have the least to talk about, is with both Kale and Dorian, and they're like still like in the palace, in Dorian's father's palace, and like the surrounding area. And Dorian is like with a healer who is called, I think, Sorsha, and she like he's with her when his powers like manifest, and he obviously can't control his powers either. And she tells him that she's gonna try to create some sort of like elixir, some sort of tonic to try to like suppress his powers. And she's like, she has been in love with him for a year, like since she has gone to live in the palace. So there might be, you know, a ship there because he's also interested in her now. And then with Kale, he is like following a guy called Aiden. I wrote that one down because I was sure I was not going to remember. Aiden. And he is technically, he's Selena's or Aylin's cousin. And he's following that guy because he doesn't trust him. And he finds him with some of the like rebels. And then he's actually caught by that guy, Aiden. I already forgot his name again. Aiden and the other rebels. And like he thought that Aiden was under the king's control because he had one of the rings that the people under the king's control have. But since he's like Fae or half Fae, I'm not entirely sure, he's at least partially Fae, he could sense that there was something weird about the ring, so he made a copy and he got rid of the original one, and he's just like pretending to use the king's ring. So he's not under the king's influence, and he's like about to kill Kale because he doesn't trust him when Kale says that Aelin, his cousin, is alive. So now they're like making a deal to kind of work together and share like information. And that is where we're at with those two. And now finally, we have a new POV of like a new character that we meet in this book, and I'm already obsessed with her. And that is Manon. No idea if that's how you say her name, but it's Manon. And she is a witch. She's a black beak witch. And like her introduction, absolutely iconic. She was like slaying people. Honestly, like what an icon. Like better than Selena has been in 4 books. But anyway, moving on. She is, like I said, a witch, and she and other witches are contacted because the king wants them to ride his wyverns. And then when he's done with whatever he wants the wyverns for, the witches can keep the wyverns and they can like reclaim back their land. And so like they meet the wyverns and they're like choosing which wyverns to bond with. And I mean, I don't think it's like the person like the witch's choice, it's more like the wyvern's choice or like both of them. But anyway, that doesn't really matter because Manon wants the like biggest, baddest wyvern who's called Titus, and she is like, you know, she's watching him, and then she's like pushed, and Titus then starts attacking her. And there is like a little wyvern there that kind of like helps her because it distracts Titus from her. And then she's like running, but Titus is going to kill the little wyvern. So she like distracts Titus, and then the little wyvern actually manages to kill Titus, which, I mean, iconic of the little wyvern, which I think is called Abraxas. I think that's the name that he's given after that. And yeah, she chooses the little wyvern, which the other witches, like the leader of her clan, is not happy with because the leader of her clan, who is her grandma, I think, wanted her to be like the like wing leader, like clan leader, because she's like technically the heir. And so she's not happy with her choice of bonding with the little wyvern. But I thought it was absolutely adorable. And yeah, that is where I'm at. And I am very happy to say that I am really liking this book. And in terms of Selena, like I definitely have connected more to her in this book than in the previous 2. And I don't know if it's because I read the prequel and I got to know her better, and therefore like I'm more connected to her because of that, or if I'm connecting more to her like just in this book, like I would have regardless of having read the other one. Like honestly, like I can't know that, but I am definitely connecting more with her, and I am invested in what she's doing. Although I would like to get to the answers, but I'm pretty sure that if we do get to the answers in this book, it's gonna be in the end. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. And in terms of Rowan, like I said, I'm pretty sure he is the like final love interest for Selena, and I know that people love him, so I'm guessing, we'll get to know him and I'll get to like him. But for now, like, he's giving me nothing. Like, for a couple of things that he said, I know that he has gone through something traumatic, but other than that, like, he's giving me nothing. But moving on to the other boys, I am actually liking Dorian. I can say that I liked him in the second book, but his plot was interesting. And now his plot is like whatever, because he hasn't really appeared that much, only in the scenes with a healer. But like, in the scenes that he did appear, I liked him, which is shocking to me. I know that people like Dorian, but I personally didn't, so it is surprising to me that I am liking him now. Not that I haven't like gone from hating characters to loving them in other series, but it is still surprising. And with Kale, his plot with Aiden seems very interesting, and I am interested in what is gonna come out of that deal that they're gonna make. And finally, like I said, Manon, she is an absolute icon, and I love her. I don't know like how her interaction with the main characters that we already knew is gonna be. I don't know if they're gonna be friends or if they're gonna be enemies, because I mean, Selena did kill a witch in the previous book, and they have like mentioned the death of that witch. Although she said that she was more like curious about like who could have killed her than like upset that someone had killed her. But still, I don't know like if they're gonna be working together or if they're gonna be on opposite sides. But either way, I still love Manon already, and I loved the scene that we got with her and the little wyvern. And yeah, that is it. That is where I'm at. I am really enjoying it, and I'm very happy about that. And I am gonna read another third, and I will be back. I am on page 380, so 2/3 into Heir of Fire. And I think I'm gonna start with Manon because she's the one we have like less time with, or at least that like less things happen with. Like, she is still training with the wyvern, she and the other witches. I mean, not a lot has been happening with her, but I love every time we get to her POV because I am obsessed with her. And she was like training with her wyvern because like her wyvern was one of the small ones and it didn't even know how to fly, and she was like trying to make it fly. And when it finally like actually flew, it was so cute because it says here, and the cry that Abraxos let out as they entered that hall of clouds, as he leveled out and caught a lightning fast current carving a pathway through it. She had not understood what it had been like for him to live his entire life underground, chained and bitten and crippled, until then, until she heard that noise of undiluted, unyielding joy, until she echoed it, tipping her head back to the clouds around them. Like, that was so adorable, and I love them so much. And I guess we can move on to Selena and Rowan. They, like, apart from practicing with Selena's magic, they're also kind of investigating some bodies that have been found and that they have been killed by some creatures, and Rowan doesn't really know like exactly what creatures are killing them, and Selena is wondering if it's the same one that attacked her when like she did something that was kind of stupid, I mentioned in my first update, and it was the one that like made her relive those awful memories, and she's wondering if that's the same creature that is like attacking and killing those people. And she can now like control her shifting, but she's still working on her like fire power, and she's also like bonding with Rowan, and they're like talking about their past. She tells him about like the time she spent in the mines and her time as an assassin, and he tells her about his mate that died and that he feels responsible for her death. I still don't really like him. Like, I don't hate him, but I don't really like him yet. I'm assuming I will, but so far he's like whatever. And honestly, like that's where we're at with them as well. Like, it's just a lot of them practicing and bonding and investigating the bodies. And then finally moving on to Kale and Adion. And first of all, like, I just want to say that I thought I was being so clever because I wrote down the name, but joke's on me because I wrote it down wrong. I think I said Aiden, but it's Adion. At least that's how you write it. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's Adion, not Aiden. Anyway, they made the deal to like give each other information, like I said in my other update. And basically, Kale was going to give Adion information about the those rings that the king gives to people to control them, and also about Selena. And Adion would give information about like what he knows and like what his people know about the king's power. And while they're like talking about that information, Dorian actually overhears them, and so now he knows that Selena is Aelin because he didn't know before. And speaking of Dorian, like he and Sorsha are like together, kind of, but also like Sorsha gives me the vibe that she's gonna die. And what I mean she's gonna die, I think she's gonna die like in this book. She's not gonna survive the book because she gives the vibe of those characters that are just introduced to like make you care and then make you sad when they die. That's the vibe that she's giving off to me. So I don't think she's even gonna last this book, which is sad because I do like her. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she's gonna die. But anyway, Kale and Adion and his friends, they want to figure out how to bring like the magic back. Kale only wants to do that because he like wants to help Dorian, because I mean Dorian does have magic and he's like in danger, and it would be better if like magic in general was back. And then they're talking to like one of Adion's friends, and he's telling them about like some monsters. Like, one of the guys is saying, the Pirate Lord thinks that there are monsters in the Dead Islands, and then another guy says, he thinks, and I also believe, that they were being made there, and Narok took some of them with him. And Narok took the fleet to Wendlin to launch a surprise attack. Because someone, and someone being Kale, convinced the king to send his champion there to kill the royal family. What better time to try out these alleged monsters than when the country is in chaos? So I'm wondering if those monsters that they're talking about are the ones that are like killing people and that Selena and Rowan are investigating. And then Adion is like talking to Kale, and Kale is like once again saying that he's only doing this for Dorian. He's not doing this to go against the king, and he's also not like going for the king, you know? He's not like really picking a side. He just wants to like the magic back to help Dorian. And Adion asks him, like, what if he, like Dorian, decides to fight against his father? And then Kale says that he'll fight beside his friend. And Adion's like, so you will fight alongside him, but not for what is right. Have you no free will, no wants of your own? The fact remains, Captain, that you have not picked a side because you are still a boy and you are still afraid, not of losing innocent lives, but of losing whatever dream it is you're clinging to. Your prince has moved on, my queen has moved on, but you have not, and it will cost you in the end. And I mean, Adion has a point. I have to say it. Adion has a point. But yeah, that is pretty much where we're at, and I'm still really enjoying it. And actually, I'm really happy that I read The Assassin's Blade, like, right before this book, because there are some like connections, at least like some people that are mentioned and some things that are mentioned here that I recognize from the Assassin's Blade, like the pirate lore that they were talking about. He was in the first short story, and also Manon was like looking for spider silk, which was also mentioned in the Assassin's Blade. So yeah, I'm really happy that I'm understanding what they're talking about.
I understood that reference.
Also, speaking of Manon, like every scene with her, like every chapter in her POV is absolutely 5 stars. Like, I am obsessed with her. And then I decided to like look up fan art, and she's the hottest person I've ever seen. So, and I'm even more obsessed with her now. I'm also really liking the like chapters with Kale and Adion. They are definitely an interesting duo, and what they're doing is also very interesting as well. And Dorian, like, I'm kind of starting not to like him again, or to at least like not care about him again. I also can't really care about him and Sorsha because, like I said, I think she's gonna die. And also, like, she's a healer and he's a prince. if anyone is gonna get hurt, like with their relationship, it's gonna be her. And he's just like my friend says, because I'm like dating her in real time as I'm reading this, because she read Throne of Glass, and then she's not continuing with the series. So she said that I can just tell her everything. So I am. And she's like, Dorian doesn't know his place. And he really doesn't. He really does not. But anyway, with Selena, I am definitely liking her more because I feel like she's finally allowing herself to, feel things and like process her emotions about her past. And the fact that she's allowing herself to feel things is allowing me to connect to her because I can finally understand her better. So I'm definitely liking that. And I'm also liking to see her, practice her powers and learn how to use her powers. And I definitely have to say that I like her scenes with like her new sort of friends, like the other people that she interacts with, more than Rowan. Maybe it's because I'm just not a fan of romance, so I just really do not care about their blooming romance. Like, I literally couldn't care less, but I kind of like her scenes with her new friends. And I'm also very interested in the monsters that they're investigating. That is definitely a very fun plot as well. And yeah, like overall, I'm having a really good time with this book, and I have 1/3 left, so I am going to finish it. I will try to remember to film myself reading like the last part. I don't know how many pages, but since the end of the second book was insane, I'm assuming the end of this book is going to be insane as well. So I will try to remember to get my reactions. And yeah, I will talk to you again once I finish it. This was so sad, and the wyverns are so cute. I literally cannot deal with this. I love Manon so much. I knew it. I hate it, but I knew it. Aww. That's so cute. Not me liking Dorian again just because he's being adorable with Kale. What? Now that I like Dorian? Seriously? What the fuck? Okay, so I have finished the book, and I think I'm gonna start with Manon again because once again she's the one that we had the least time with, which honestly is a crime. Like, we only had I think 3 or 4 chapters in the last third with her, and that is not okay with me. But basically the like war games that they were going to like compete in happen like between the witches, and she, like Manon, like her clan wins and she's crowned wing leader. And like while the games were happening, there was one wyvern with one witch who like they were falling basically, and the wyvern was trying to save like its witch, and Manon and the Braxos like went there to try to save them both. They only managed to save the witch, like the wyvern died, which was so sad. Like, that's what was happening when I was sad when I was filming my reactions. That was so sad. Like, honestly, I don't know if I tabbed it. I mean, I must have. Basically, the other wyvern was called Keely, and it says he couldn't stop Keely. She was too heavy and he too small. Yet they could save Petra. He'd seen Astorine make that jump too. She had to get the unconscious witch out of the saddle. Abraxos roared at Keely, and Manon could have sworn that he was speaking some alien language, bellowing some command, as Keely made one final stand for her rider and leveled out flat, a landing platform. Manon told herself it was for an alliance, told herself it was for show, but all she could see was the unconditional love in that dying wyvern's eyes as she unbuckled her harness, stood from the saddle, and left off Abraxas. And then, this was the end of a chapter, and then the next chapter was like, Keely hit the floor of the canyon with a crash that could be heard across the mountains. She did not rise again. That was so sad. Like, that is not okay. But basically, like I said, Manon was crowned wing leader, and her grandmother, who's like the leader of their clan, she was not happy that Manon like showed, compassion and like saved the other witch. She was really not happy about that because those witches, the three clans, I think they are the Blackbeaks, which is Manon's clan, Yellow Legs, which is like the witch that died in the second book, the witch that Selena killed, and then the Blue Blood witches. And they're supposed to be like unfeeling. They're not supposed to have like any kind of feelings. And Manon had feelings, and she was not supposed to. So her grandmother was not happy with that. But that is pretty much everything that happened with Manon. And then if we move on to Kale and Adion and Dorian, they were like about to leave the palace, all of them, to, run out of, like, away from the king, when they were caught, and the king called them all, and he killed Sorsha because she was like a spy for the rebels. And I mean, not surprised at all that Sorsha died. I knew she was gonna die, but it was still sad. And he arrested Adion because he knows that he's not under his control. And then Dorian like used his magic to like distract his father, like created a version so Kale could escape and like find Selena and tell her about what is happening. And then like Kale managed to escape, and he was like taking Selena's dog with him, which I appreciate. I appreciate that he did not leave the dog behind. And then like the king put a collar on Dorian, like the collar that the kind of like the monsters have, and to like control him. And that is again what we got from there. And we got the most time with Selena, and she and Rowan learned more about those monsters, and it was like in fact the monsters that were sent, like the ones that Kale and Adion were talking about. They like fight one of the monsters, but then there is like a whole army of monsters that they have to fight, and we see them fighting, and we see like Selena going like more personally against them, and we see her like her memories from her past, and like from her when her parents died, and also like when she lost all hope and everything. While she's reliving all that, it's when she decides that she is gonna fight for her people and for her kingdom, and she is like still under kind of the creature's influence. And everyone's telling Rowan that she's gonna die because no one really survives what those creatures do. And then Rowan is thinking, the creatures fed on despair and pain and terror. But what if the victim let go of those fears? What if the victim walked through them, embraced them? As if an answer flame erupted from the wall of darkness, which is what Selena did, obviously. And also, like, while she was reliving those memories, she realized that she actually had the third word key because it was in her family's like lucky amulet, and she had it with her when she escaped from like when her parents and like everyone was killed, and she had it with her, and it was pretty much like the reason why she survived her escape. And so she knows that like she had it when she left and it helped her survive, but then she didn't have it anymore when she woke up. So she knows that who took it from her was like the assassin guy who trained her and who like rescued her. So she wants to go get it back. And also, like, after that fight with the monsters, everyone now knows that Aelin is alive, and news spread to even like the king of Otherland. And also Rowan finally takes Selena to go see Maeve, and she finally asks her about the word keys, but honestly she didn't really know much, which kind of pissed me off and definitely pissed Selena off. All that she said is that like if the king has the 3 word keys, he can like get that army of monsters to use corpses. Like, it doesn't have to use, because the monsters were like using people's bodies. But if it has the 3 word keys, you can control them to just use corpses. So like an army of dead that doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to feed, doesn't need to stop. And, you know, that would be obviously very dangerous. And then Maeve wants to know about the 3rd word key because she knows that Selena knows where it is, but Selena obviously doesn't trust Maeve and doesn't want to tell her. And she, like, Maeve is torturing Rowan, so Selena will tell her, but then, like, Selena releases her magic and she forces Maeve to release Rowan from his blood oath to her, which she has to do. And then Rowan, like, swears, like, makes the oath to Selena. And that is pretty much like how it ended. Like, Selena decided that she's going to, you know, get the 3rd word key, and then she's going to find Kale and like try to work together. And obviously she doesn't know what happened at the palace, and I mean, Kale is looking for her, so I feel like they're not gonna easily find each other, you know. But yeah, that is pretty much how it ended, and let's go into my final thoughts. So I feel like I already talked a lot about the characters and what I thought about them, but I'm gonna make like a small overview, like starting with the characters. And so starting with Selena, or Aelin, like I feel like she's gonna be calling herself Aelin in the next book, because in the end she was like, I'm Aelin, whatever, I didn't memorize her surname, but she was like, I'm Aelin, whatever, and I'm the queen, the heir, the whatever. So, you know, she might be calling herself Aelin. For now, she was like, I'm Selena, Aelin is dead, so whatever. Anyway, I am glad that she finally like allowed herself to feel anything, so I could finally connect to her, because I know what she's thinking, what she's feeling, and like I could finally like her more. And I definitely do like her more now. And also, she was kind of iconic in this book, so not only do I like her more, like her personality, I also like that she was finally an icon. And then Kale, I still like him, and I definitely like that he finally chose a side. Like, he finally decided to fight for what he believes is right, and not just because, you know, it's his friend that believes that to choose fight for that, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that he finally chose a side. And then Dorian, I like him, kind of. Like, he was kind of just meh throughout this whole book, but I don't dislike him anymore, for sure. And I really liked him at the end when he was like being super adorable about Kale. That I did appreciate that. And then Sorsha, like, I really liked her, but I knew she was gonna die, and I usually love being right, but in this case I hated being right because it was really sad. Like, I was expecting it, but it was still sad because she was a really like adorable character, and you know, she's dead. And Rowan, like, he's okay. I feel like everyone loves him, but for me, he's just okay. Like, so far, I might love him, but for now, he's okay. I feel like everyone loves like Rowan and Dorian, and no one likes Kale. And I'm the opposite. I like Kale, and Rowan and Dorian like are okay. Finally, like, last but definitely not least, Manon, like, she was the highlight of this book for me. She was everything. Like, she and the Braxos were absolutely everything. I loved every second that I spent with them, and I can't wait to get more of them. And yeah, basically, like, in this book, I was invested and interested in the plot the whole time. And I especially like the plot with the monsters. That was very interesting. And also like how Selena was learning how to use her magic and then like using it on the monsters. And I mean, the fight scene, like the battle with the monster, was also really, really cool. I really enjoyed that. And I mean, the end was not as insane as the end of the second book. I feel like you saw from my reactions, there was no like crazy reactions, but as a whole, like the book as a whole, I feel like it was better. Like, for me, it was better because like in the second book, the book I wasn't really enjoying, but then the end was like absolutely insane, and that's why I gave it 3.5 stars. While in this case, like the whole book was 4 stars. Like, I was really enjoying the whole book. And so yeah, obviously I am giving this one 4 stars. And I heard that like the next book, which is Queen of Shadows, I think, is like Prequel's favorite book, so I am definitely very excited to get into that one. But this is it for now. This is everything for this video, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!